Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. It's Saturday. So I'm getting ready right now to go do a Kroger in-store. I definitely want to get some watermelon. There's a few other things I want to get. And so I'm going to do an in-store film if I can. Kroger is always super, super busy, so I'm going to try to get out there super early, which means pretty soon. So that is the next video, a Kroger in-store. I've been getting some comments from people that are just very arrogant and untrue lies, or calling me a liar. You know, there was one comment that called me liberal trash. I'll take that because it doesn't make me white trash. What do I call white trash? A white supremacy type idea that whites are above every other race. I don't believe that. White trash are narcissists, sexist, racists, and they're okay with what's going on with this roundup of immigrants and no due process. As liberal trash, you know, I believe that everybody should have health care. There should be choice for vaccinations. I believe everyone should have their rights and civil rights and liberties in place, not taken away. I believe that freedom of religion is exactly how it is in the Constitution. And white trash, white Christian nationalists, want this to be a Christian nation and tell you how to think, how to live. And, you know, it's just so funny to me and so hypocritical because they were always like, we need less government. Okay, but you're going to govern people on how they should live, how they should believe, how they should be, who they should be. Don't you see the hypocrisy in that? So, yes, I will take being liberal trash over white trash any day. Just saying. And in my opinion, Charlie Kirk was white trash. He was a white Christian nationalist. Okay. He believed in segregation. He believed that the civil rights of 1964 was a mistake. He believes that being gay or trans is a disease, a mental illness. Be who you want to be. If you want to be white trash, be white trash, but let everyone else be who they are. That's my belief. Being woke is a disease. Being aware of other people's suffering and in history is not a disease. It's being a very good human being to other human beings. He believed that women should be focused on being mothers and wives instead of education, careers, and independence. He believed that women shouldn't have the right to vote. I mean, I can't understand that. But I get accused of gloating that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That is absolutely not true at all. I don't believe anyone should be murdered, even if they themselves said there has to be some casualties if we're going to have the Second Amendment. He said that about school shootings, children being gunned down in school. Well, got to have some casualties if you're going to have the Second Amendment. That's accepting murder so that you can have a gun. That's strange. That's not right. That's what he stood for. He stood for everything that I am against. It's not gloating at all. Now, I will gloat of the fact that his assassinist, the person who killed him, was a MAGA mutt. I will gloat about that because I heard so many influencers say that it was a trans person. Nancy Mace, what a vile human. What a vile human. A vile human. When it went out that it was a trans person that had murdered him, that's insane. That's insane. It was one of you. So yeah, I am going to gloat about that because y'all were ready to start a war. And then I have someone in my comments saying, well, just get ready because this didn't do anything. And then they claim that wasn't a threat. That is a threat when you say get ready. That's a threat. Someone also claimed that I didn't get death threats in my emails, that there's a lot of people like me on TikTok. I've never even seen TikTok. I've never been on TikTok. I don't know anything about TikTok. I don't know anything about X or Twitter or Twister. I call it Twister or Twixter. That might be a better word for it. I don't know anything about those things. I had a Facebook. I think it's still alive. I don't know. I I don't do those things. I don't even own a cell phone. So all of you out there that want to judge me because I don't agree with how white nationalists view our world, our country, get over yourself. You're not going to control the way I think, even though you want to control everybody's way of thinking, living, their religion, the way they want to dress, the way they think about themselves, and you want to call it a disease. Really? I just want to live my life. I want to be able to have my opinion. But to the person that said that I don't get threats, how do you know? I most certainly do. I've had this channel for over 7 years, and I really never talked about politics before. But when COVID hit, I did talk about masking up and getting your vaccinations and making sure that you had hand sanitizer. I talked about how to make your own hand sanitizer. Yeah, that's when it started. I'm not a Trumpster. I'm not white trash dumpster Trumpster person. So when someone calls me liberal trash, I will take that title and I will hold it up knowing that I am on the right side of history. Teaching about slavery the way it should be taught is something that Kirk was against. Him and his group said that slavery gave slaves more opportunities by teaching them skills. Treating people like farm mules gave them skills. Well, we also gave them Christianity. Well, hooty hooty you. And you've treated them poorly ever since. So no, I don't believe that Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. I don't believe in segregation. You know, I've told 2 stories on my channel before, and I'm going to tell them both again. When I was 5 or 6, I started packing my little suitcase with snacks and toys and coloring books and crayons. And my mom asked me, what are you doing? And I said, could you make me some peanut butter sandwiches? And she's like, for what? And I said, there's 2 little black girls up there and no one will play with them. And I took my toys. She made me some peanut butter sandwiches. I took more snacks. And I went and played with those 2 little girls for hours. They were beautiful children. And we had a great time. Not long after that, they all moved out because of threats in that condo. It was like a condo complex. I didn't know why. How would I have known that? Then there was the story when I was running the feed mill and I was bagging out oats for a black man. And a big old white farmer walks in. You need to do his after you get mine done. And I told him no. Here I am. I was like, I don't know, I was about 26. And this man stepped up to me like he wanted to tell me what to do at my job. And I told him no. I said, I'm finishing this gentleman's order. And the black man said, that's okay. I can wait. And I said, absolutely not. You will not wait. You see, from that point, I had come from a very diverse area. I moved all around as a child between my mom's house, my dad's house, and my grandfather's house, who was out here in Indiana on 200 acres. So I kind of had the city and the country in my life. So I had come from a city school, and I knew that diversity was fine. I told you about the black boy that I liked in school. But I refused to do what that man wanted me to do. And he went over and talked to my boss. And my boss says, well, was he there first? Well, yeah. Well, then she's doing the right thing. And when everybody was gone, my boss came over to the mill and looked at me and he says, thank you. And I said, for what? You know, busting my ass all day long, throwing 100-pound feed sacks. But he thanked me because he knew that the black customer was just as important as that big old white farmer. No, I don't agree with what Charlie Kirk and the white Christian nationalists want to do to this country. I don't agree with it. And yes, I do get email threats. And yes, I am liberal trash, but that makes you white trash. So, have your opinions of me. That's fine. Get in the comments. I will comment right back to you. But if you don't like what you get back, then don't come back. I don't need you. I didn't make this channel to make money. It's more of a vlog of how I feel, what I do, how I shop. Used to be almost all couponing. But when I saw our country morphing into this place that I don't even recognize anymore, and I'm just going to make one more comment. There was a comment about being okay with abortion. Yes, I believe in many instances it is important to be able for women to get prenatal health care, reproductive health care, birth control. But when you start saying, well, no one's really dying, and this is what Charlie Kirk believed, that there wasn't as many needs for medical procedures for pregnant women. And we're finding that out is not true because women have died. They have had major complications with pregnancies that are are killing them. Rape, incest, all of those things. I would not put a child through a pregnancy if she was raped, either by a family member or by someone else. But it seems to me that you all are okay with pedophiles, sexual abusers, and domestic violence. Domestic violence is a criminal act, and you all just seem to think, well, no, it's not. It's just a little squabble. When you take away the criminal aspect of domestic abuse, you've let down people, you've let down women really badly. And a lot of these white Christian nationalists who have their wife at home, being a wife, being a mother, they're abused monetarily, verbally, emotionally, and physically. And then you want to take away their out of a situation like that. I don't agree with it. I didn't grow up that way. I was born in 1969, which means I don't remember a time when women were treated the way that white Christian nationalists want women treated. If a woman wants to be a trad wife, be a trad wife. I applaud you. I just like to be independent because I don't want to get stuck in a situation that I have to depend upon someone who may be abusive. And I'm not saying that all white Christian nationalist men are abusive. I'm not saying that. But there is a percentage of it. And that's all I have to say. I'm getting ready to go shopping. I hope you all watch the next video. Y'all have a great day. Hugs from a distance.